jumping in, we're going to be talking about beyond the hype. AI is a lot of hype. And beyond the hype, there's also maybe a little bit of value with chatbots. People like chatbots and ChatGPT and using it to create funny memes and whatever they like to do. We're trying to look at some of the hard problems. I'm referring to Udu Technologies, right? Udu Technologies is a company out of both Nigeria and the US, where we think of how do we empower organizations across Nigeria, Africa, the global south to realize their AI dreams. So as I go through this and as you listen to it, start thinking of your AI dreams. Do you have AI dreams? If you don't, here's the time to start. Write them down, and at the end, see if you really believe that we can help you figure out those dreams. On the next slide, I think I talk about, just understanding the AI infrastructure. When you think of revenue generation from AI, you're able to generate revenues from AI by just using regular AI tools like ChatGPT, Gamma, whatever it is out in the internet, right? You can make money with those things. But in my view, that's like small level of money. If we're really talking about revenue to organizations that have access to a lot of data. If you work for an organization that has access to a lot of data, you're connected to some of them, there's so much opportunity they are leaving on the table because they're not aware of what to do about it. And so I'll try to share some of those today. The first challenge that they usually go to is, the very first one, they don't know what to do about it. But after they know what to do about it, is that the data by itself needs to be prepared. There are things you need to do to structure the data, clean it, remove outliers, and store it in a way that is accessible to whatever computational engine that you want to use. So that's usually the first challenge. And the way we come about that challenge is with our platform at Udu Technologies, we have an ecosystem of providers that provide things across the entire value chain. And data preparation is one of them. So we can just make a connection for you with people that we really trust. But the main one which we take on is GPUs. GPUs are AI, is a graphic processing unit, is the AI chip, is the chip that you need if you want to run a very big AI solution or process a lot of data. I'm explaining this because most people are not yet familiar with what a GPU is. They're familiar with a CPU, right? Your laptop, your computer has like an Intel CPU or something like that. So a GPU is the next level of that, where if a CPU can do something, maybe if you have people running, right? If one is running slow, the other one is like 100 times faster. In fact, the GPU sometimes is 1,000 times faster. You know, it's like you're driving a Keke Napep and then someone else has a Ferrari. The GPU is a Ferrari. And in the age of AI, really, if you say data is the crude oil, the GPU is the refinery, is what you use to process that data. Without a GPU, you cannot really process your data. You have all this data, but just sitting there, and it's, in my view, wasted. You're not using it for anything. All you do maybe is every now and then you go and search for one record or the other, and you're happy that, oh, I have my data, I've saved my data. Like most African countries are talking about data sovereignty. We're going to save our data. In my view, I'm like, for what reason? You're not doing anything with the data, you know? You need GPUs. GPUs is what you use to process the data, so you actually extract wealth from that data. So that's what it is. It usually goes in several rooms, like this server room. And you have like a server box that will have several GPU chips inside of it. So that's what that looks like. Right. So yeah, Udu Technologies is about how do we help set up more of these in Nigeria, right? We'll work with like banks and big companies to help them buy not many boxes, maybe one, because they're expensive. So buy one box and generate revenues from it. And then when you see how much you're generating, you decide to do a whole room because you realize that what you've been missing this whole time. And so today, I think I'll talk about maybe 6 or so sectors, maybe some extra jar I will add at the end of how you can really leverage this. The first one, we won't talk about the usual agriculture, healthcare. We'll talk about roads, right? Some boring stuff. This first one is referring to FEMA, right? It's like the federal group that manages our federal roads. I think we have like 34,000 kilometers of federal roads in Nigeria. Those roads, so much work needs to be done. there's a manual approach today where you like have people get in a car, like two people get in a car and drive through the roads to try and see where are the potholes, where are the issues, and understand what's happening in the roads. That's how we do things. It's pretty manual. But with that, we miss a lot of issues, and we end up having to redo roads, or cars go on those roads that are bad and they have to go and do repairs. And this just takes out so much from our economics and our GDP. But the solution that we're now employing through one of our customers is they now have these drones that fly over the roads. And those drones are able to automatically, capture the video of the both. It's not even just the roads, also security. So they can do both monitoring and security. On the security side, obviously, if something is happening like a theft, it can automatically use AI to process that video and send an alert to police, who can decide what they want to do about it. They can decide if they want to go or not, but at least now they have the information. But in terms of monitoring, it can now identify when the roads are starting to have issues. And so you can proactively repair the roads, right? Some report says that if you proactively repair the roads like that, it's like 18 times cheaper than, not doing that. So we're talking about billions of dollars saved. Why? Because you spent like $500,000 on AI. Are you serious? Why are you not doing that? Why are you not doing that yesterday? This is literally how we're going to create progress in our continent, by investing in things like this. Right. So that's roads. The second one is oil and gas. Oil and gas is probably the biggest sector here for making money from AI. But I worry that they already make too much money that they will not even care and they don't want to make more. Ibrahim, is that not true? I feel like you're one of those oil and gas people, Ibrahim. Well, we'll keep it like that. So make too much money, they don't want more. But if you wanted more money, let me show you how you do it. There are three sectors here. There is upstream, midstream, and downstream, right? On the upstream side is exploration. Part of this job is to search for where they should get oil, right? Is it like on land? Is it on water? They have to explore and trying to find it. And a lot of the times they make mistakes by drilling in the wrong places. That mistake is very expensive, can lead to occupational hazards, and it's just a difficult thing to do. So what we decided to do in the US is we decided to use AI to process the data and from sensors, and use that to make better decisions on where should we be drilling for oil. So oil and gas is like the top 3 use cases in the US for AI. I don't know that it's being used for AI in Nigeria at all. Like this right here is tens of billions of dollars worth of money that can be made, by just determining the right place to drill. Pipeline security, similar to roads. You unleash these drones to fly over the property and automatically detect when there are threats. That way you have 24/7 protection from potential issues. These issues that we all know what it's like in Nigeria. We lose so much money to theft of oil, and it affects everybody, not just the oil companies. And then the last one is in terms of just the oil company at the end of the day is an industrial plant. An industrial plant, you can have all these IoT sensors deployed across the refinery and all of the places, right? That will now give all this data about what's happening. But you now have all this data about what's happening, but you don't have GPUs to process that data. So what are you doing with the data? Once again, with GPUs, you can process that data, can now automate things like automate repairs, automatically track when things are going low and how you should increase it and all of that. So it's truly incredible what really can happen here. And all of this costs you a few $100,000 so that you can make hundreds of millions. It's up to you if you want to do it or not. The next one is one that only one person on this call probably likes. It's about taxes. Everybody else, don't drag me. We're basically showing the FIRS how they can recover lost revenue from taxes, right? Most Nigerians don't pay taxes, sometimes for good reason. Some reason, this is being recorded. Oh my God. I didn't say anything, please. But it is said that about over $20 billion is lost annually because of tax evasion. Right. And so and in terms of illicit funds leaving Nigeria, about $1.5 billion daily. My goodness. Not Nigeria. I think that's all Africa for that. Yeah. So much money is just lost. The way to combat this is like, I mean, it's hard. The data is that this one says over 120 million daily transactions are happening, right? Through the central bank, for example, and other places. It's hard to process that data. Like, how are you even going to do it? With humans and a computer, you can split the data up. That's what they try to do, by the way. We talked to some banks in Nigeria. They split the data up into different pockets and they distribute it across human beings to try and process the data and then bring the data together and try and merge it and then come and make decisions. Mostly decisions that don't work. The other way to do it is to use a GPU cluster. Like you have a cluster of 20 to 50 GPUs, and they will be used to process this data on a daily basis. You will catch anything you want to catch. Nothing can hide, honestly. It's like, it'll be so incredible what can change if only they were able to, spin up something like this. So yeah, that's what we're talking about. And these are talking about the big players, right? The central bank, the FIRS, but it applies to fintechs as well. All the small fintech, they also have their own level of this as well. They go through fraud and scam. Imagine being able to reduce your scam by like 30%. It's huge. And all the fines that you get when you get scam or the reputational hit, those go away just because you're spending small money on GPUs every month, right? For this one, I say you could probably rent GPUs. That's where, we have a GPU rental platform where you can just rent hourly to do some of these jobs that you need. It's only when you're like very big that you decide, okay, I don't want to rent, I want to buy my own. Then we can help you source it and install it where you need it to be, right? Next one is telecommunications. Basically turning data into intelligence. The telecommunication companies have so much data, so much behavior data on people because you use your phone and you take your phone almost everywhere you go. So you just like really understand what is happening. But with all that data, they can't process it without GPUs. So we're saying, let them install some of these GPUs and they can do whatever. The sky is the limit. I don't even know the extent to what they can do with it. They have to figure it out after they get access. So like fraud prevention is a thing, predictive analytics of how to optimize their network, and just new revenue streams. I think the telcos in Africa are some of the most creative. Like if you remember like 10, 20 years ago, they came up with all this ringtones, music ringtone and things like that. Like it wasn't happening in the rest of the world, but it was happening in Africa. Ours are very, very creative. And so I can't even imagine what kind of AI-powered services they would build if we give them access to GPUs. So I'm looking forward to it. In fact, in terms of like population-wide scans, back in 2020 during COVID-19, I was actually part of a group that worked with all the telcos in Africa. They gave data of like population data where people were. And it was very difficult. There were no GPUs in the entire continent of Africa to process data. So we were stuck. The leaders, the bones on the group had to beg around the world. They were begging everywhere. Beg the US, beg everybody. Nobody agreed. It was only China, Alibaba, that agreed to give some GPUs to a group in Congo. And then we used that data, those GPUs in Congo, to process the data everywhere else to now understand where's the hotspots for COVID, how is it moving, are the actions being taken, are they working, and things like that, right? So that's what's possible. And I really say we don't want to be there again in this continent where something big like this is happening and we're begging around for GPUs. Like we should have our own. And that's why I decided, okay, we're going to start Udu Technologies and we're going to just like get ahead of this and not be in places where we're begging for resources and it's hard to be in control of your own destiny. So yeah, what's the next one? Let's see. Next one is the creative sector. Creative sector is beautiful. This is the home of job creation, right? By 2030, Africa is going to have the most number of youth on the planet. It's a absolute time bomb because there's no jobs for them. But if we bring GPUs to the continent, we will create creative jobs for them. Just think about it. From the tools they're using to play games right now and do like, marketing and media and whatnot, to being able to dramatically reduce the price of creating content, right? Like you're trying to create a film, you're trying to create an animation, you're trying to create music. You need a proper production studio to make that happen, typically, to get like proper standard. Well, it's been reducing. You needed that very big thing. And then now people are using their phones. It's okay, but still not that big quality. With AI, you go to the next level where you're using just a phone powered by AI to produce something that someone else in Hollywood spent $10 million on a production studio or more. So like it has to like level the playing field and give us access to so much more, right? The global animation market is led by Asians, right? We watch a lot of Asian cartoons and stuff. Africans, we can create ours too. And we have even better stories the world has not heard yet. There's such a gold mine here. This is actually my favorite use case. And I really want us to tell these stories of our history. And we can do that because we have AI GPUs in different parts of the continent. The last piece here is about esports. Esports is big. I don't know if on the chat people can guess how much they think esports superstars make. But I'll give you expo. They make a lot of money. They make millions of dollars. They make money like they're professional players. They just sit down playing game and the world watches them. But the thing is, if they have to be in a place where the infrastructure is great. Like the internet is really, really strong and sharp. And then they have GPUs. The GPUs make it such that any move they make, like within like 50 milliseconds, it's getting to where they need it to be. So that's really what that looks like. And it's just really incredible what can happen in this space. Let's see, maybe this might be the last one. Construction. If there's anything Africans like to spend money on, is construction. We like to build houses, build everything. Like for me, I prefer we build like manufacturing plants and stuff, but there's so many excuses as to why we don't do that. Because like, it's difficult to manage, the margins are small, electric power is difficult to get to, it's expensive. So we just like to build homes and build hotels and build things. Well, sure, even with that, there's so much money that can be made because of GPUs and AI. It's called 3D digital twins. Like if you're able to train, we have an architect on the call, right? Architects use all this software to set, design the buildings. There's a new one from NVIDIA called NVIDIA Omniverse. It's used to make 3D digital twins. And with the reports we see in the US, companies that are already using this are using it to create a digital view of their building that is so much close to like the real thing. And because of that, they're saving a lot of money. First and foremost is like the main person who actually cares about this building. They can now actually see what it looks like before you build it. And for the most part, they usually want to change something. So now they can do that in digital space. So that's huge. The next one is that you can now even predict when like issues will happen and do predictive maintenance and whatnot, and reduce delays as you're constructing this important thing, right? The likes of Volkswagen and whatnot, car company, they talk about savings of like 20 to 30% because they were able to do a digital twin in the first place. And then you can imagine global collaboration is now possible. You don't need to fly in your engineers from Turkey, India, US. They can just be on their computer looking at the digital version of what you built, and make changes to it and whatnot. So this one is huge. And I'm open to partners who want to create like learning programs for architects so they know how to use these tools. And on our side, we provide the GPUs that they use, and they can start even getting more job and more money because of all of this. So yeah, it's pretty exciting. I must say if I must say the least. And so with all of that, There's a multiplier effect that now affects other industries. So healthcare, agri, education, this is the usual one people talk about. But for these ones, it's usually more about impact and like let's help people and stuff, and less about like money-making schemes. Although you can make a lot of money here. But in fact, I'll tell you about just one of them on how you can make a lot of money. On the agriculture side, you'll be very, very surprised and shocked that I'll be talking about Malu, right? Malu is cow. People know cow. People that have a lot of cows, you can do facial recognition for them, right? Facial recognition. Facial recognition, basically you will use AI from a drone to be detecting the face. And you ask yourself, why in God's name do you want to see the face of a cow and not the cow? Ask that to any big cow farmer and they'll tell you. Like, it helps them understand things about the cow, like the disease, like just the health, whether it is eating and things that are happening. And imagine being able to do that from above and do it for like tens, if not hundreds of cows. You're like automating the way they manage their herd, and this really translates to a lot of money for them. They'll be so interested in these solutions, and we've seen similar solutions in India. And it'll be interesting to find some big cow farmers in Nigeria to build facial recognition software for. If you know somebody building such a software, let's connect with them and we'll give them the GPUs they need, and let's all make money together. So yeah, with that, I'll probably pause and take questions. I think this one has our email address. It says, invest in GPUs, let's have cross-industry collaboration, let's scale, execute, let's transform Africa. It's possible. We just have to start making the right decisions. All right, I rest my case.